And we get a lot of good feedback from that. I think the most important one that I've heard most recently was from Alex Schrank, who went to George Washington University, and he's very well spoken and gives good information. He said the one thing that he felt we did that his peers were not ready for was that his professors would say, the learning curve between high school and college is that you're not learning for a test anymore. You really need to want to learn and learn the entire concept instead of just what you need to regurgitate for the test. And he felt like at Leaves of Learning, that's what we taught him to do. We taught him to ask questions. We taught him to always kind of be curious, and that was not a learning curve that he felt that he had to overcome in any way, shape, or form. The other feedback that we get that I feel like is important to mention is that our students feel very comfortable dealing with and talking to their professors. Our teachers here encourage questions. They want the kids to discuss and talk, and that definitely transpires into the college realm as well, so that they're very comfortable asking questions and not feeling like, oh, I can't ask that teacher, or they don't care if I have that question. So those are two really good reasons. You've each received now this college guide, and inside of that it also lists many reasons and benefits that we've gotten over the years for what we do here at Leaves of Learning. Does anyone have any questions specifically about that at this point? I'm going to then pass it off to our college specialists here. For those who, we have Lauren and Gary here. Lauren's going to go over the first part of the high school stuff, and then Gary's going to focus more on the college application process. So I'm going to let them take it from here. Introduce who you are and give some background too.
Thank you.
I'm Lauren Batten. I'm a counselor here at Leaves, so I know most of you. There are some new faces in here though, which is fun. So I was just going to loosely, this book's kind of like a guide for what we're going over, just a really loose guide. It's got a lot of great information in it. It's very useful. One of the main things that I deal with here are, does my child have what they need to graduate? Does my child have what they need to go on to college? So there's a lot of helpful tools in here, one of which is the graduation requirement checklist. Not only is it in the book, I gave you all a loose copy of it too. It's fun to scratch on and scribble on. These are still the same, so I double checked today just to make sure that they're the same requirements these are Ohio's requirements. For homeschooler, I've dealt with a couple people in Kentucky. I haven't done any in Indiana yet, but for the most part, they're pretty close. So your English, 4 credits, math, 4 credits, and there's also like math, you have to have your algebra 2. So you have your algebra 1, your geometry, algebra 2, and then we offer pre-calc here, or say you do that your junior year, you want to keep taking math, we do calculus here as well. I don't know if we've done anything beyond that. We also have individualized math, which depending on what you were interested in, you could get together with him, he could come up with another type of math. Individualized math is great because you can work with the teacher to do kind of the math that's just for you. Maybe if you're not finding the class that you need to be in for math. And I believe we're doing that this year too for history. The science, you have 3 sciences, so it'll be your physical science that we have here, and then you'll move on to, we have biology, we have chemistry, we have physics. This year we have astrophysics. I'm not sure we're having it next year. A lot of times we rotate. We keep the classes that are requirements, and then we'll rotate other classes. Your 3 social studies, which must include a half unit of American history and a half credit of American government. And we always offer those. You're always able to get those here. Your half credit of health and your half credit of physical education. We also offer plenty of things here. We even have like fencing, which is most people don't have, which is pretty cool. And then 5 electives. And most of the kids I encounter here don't have any trouble coming up with enough electives. Yeah. We have a lot of really cool classes on Wednesdays and Fridays. So between all those, also if you have any extra academic classes that spill out over what you're required, those can go there. And also, foreign languages, your fine arts. It's good to keep in mind that if you are interested in going on to college, a lot of them are going to look for 2 years of a foreign language, even though it's not required. to graduate, so that's a good thing to keep in mind. We have Spanish and French here. And then also an economic literacy course you're required to take. Ours at Leaves is called Practical Life Skills, and you learn everything from sewing on a button to money management to changing a tire. They go outside and change a tire. So it's a cool class. It's actually a very useful class. So that's something that's good to keep in mind because that is required to graduate as well. Any questions about any of those right now? Did I go too fast? Okay.
There's a spot right here, actually. That's perfect. Put the late comer, it's right, perfect. I've got to go now.
So also, what we've done through here is put some high school transcripts, how to calculate the GPA. When you're a student at Leeds, you're a homeschool student, so as the parent, you're responsible, 100% responsible for their education, so you're responsible for creating their transcripts, making sure they're in the classes they need to be in. I'm here to help you with that. I've gotten actually quite a bit of experience with that in the 2 years I've been here, so. But we have a little guide in here to help you as well. So all about calculating your GPA.
Can you call out the page number one?
Oh yeah, page 8 through 10. I apologize. I have so this is kind of like what a transcript, an example. I also have a digital template, and my email is on that agenda, just in case you didn't see that. So anything that you guys would need, like the digital transcript, I can send out. If you just shoot me an email, I'll send it to you. I encourage starting to fill that out at the beginning of high school because it's the best way to stay organized. And that way you don't have to go back and try to find their grades, dig out their grades. Starting the freshman year or even 8th grade, some of the classes that they might take in 8th grade you can use on the transcript as well. We send those lovely evaluations twice a year that all the teachers here spend so much time on. So you can use those to fill out your grades at the end of the year. We don't have semester grades. We do have semester grades here, but the final grades is what you'll need on those.
How do you calculate GPA on a class that doesn't have grades, like Taekwondo or nutrition? Things that are just like pass.
Once they get to the high school level, that's something that I've encountered over the last couple of years. Once they get to the high school level, you really need to request the grades. And even in a class like that, you can go back to the teacher after and say, hey,
Like last year?
what kind of grade would you give them? Yes. And I can help with that too. I can help you try to hunt those things down if there's some grades you're missing. One of the things about Leaves that's so unique is that we don't always give grades, which is kind of a nice thing. And we don't want students to feel defeated at any point because of a grade they may get. But it's so crucial at the same time to your transcript and your GPA. We can find ways, though, in classes like that, to find the appropriate grade for the transcript. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
So Kyla coming as a sophomore, or now as a junior, does that GPA start over? What do we do with the St. Ursula transcript versus now?
We use
classes
the
at
St.
school?
Ursula. So we use from freshman on, we're going to use any of her grades that she got from any school she's been at.
Okay.
But we can compile them onto one transcript and then put all the school information on there together. So St.
So
Ursula.
like math and day would totally start over with GPA? It would be wiped clean and you would start over? So I'm just wondering.
Because she didn't.
No, when Kyla was going to transfer to MND prior to this, it was very clear that the transcript at St. Ursula would be, that was their transcript because it's apples to oranges.
Oh. No, so we'll need to use her classes that she took prior
Right.
year.
But the GPA itself would have started over at a new school.
I don't know, I just used the grades and calculated the GPA from the beginning.
Are you?
Yeah,
I'm asking out of, that's,
What she's describing would be the usual.
okay.
But usually there has to be an agreement that there's a good understanding between the two schools. Of
Okay.
Sometimes there's a miscommunication on what an A is, what a B is. But yeah, and if you're worried, if you're worried that like maybe my grades weren't the best freshman year someplace else and it's going to drag down my GPA. I mean, colleges are going to see, they're going to know. Like that's why I transferred. You know, I came to a place that fits me better, and my grades got better. And so I wouldn't be discouraged if you're concerned that,
No, I'm not. I just know that I remember hearing that kind
yeah.
of started.
I think that would be more the exception of MND system.
Okay.
Yeah, so what
But
I
they are
would do,
7-point scale versus the 10-point scale I was at Black. She was at Black.
Usually what they try to do is convert it, try to make some sort of equivalency, and then add it in.
oh, no, you're fine. No, that's a good question.
So we can help you do that. So
Okay.
Lauren can help
Yes,
you
I can
figure that out.
I
Yeah.
can help you do that, for sure. Okay, so from there, a lot of times too, the question I get is, or when kids first start here, that we all get is, well, will they have trouble? Like, will they get a diploma? Will they be able to graduate? Like if they were in traditional school? And this is only, like I said, my second year here, so those were the questions I had too when I started. But absolutely, yes. Their transcript, when they finish here, is their high school equivalency. So yes, they graduate the same way anyone else does. They do not need to get a GED. They're completely unrelated. They are in high school. They are taking classes. Now, there too, it's just this year, there's a new thing too where we print off a diploma, which is kind of like what we give you. Like it's more of a,
We've always done that,
yeah. But the new thing is that you can have a superintendent sign off of your district, if you want, on a transcript or a diploma. I don't think it's necessary at all, but if it makes you feel better, it is something that they're required to do now. So you can do that, it's just like a little extra insurement. So yes, the graduation, all that happens. It's really fun. The seniors all year long plan their graduation. We get together, we have meetings. They plan senior pranks and all that too. So it's the same experience. And it's cool because they get to put their own stamp on it. They get to really make it theirs. And last year was my first one and it was really awesome. Yeah, it is. So it's the same thing. You don't have to worry about that. And another question is it more difficult for them to get into colleges because they were homeschooled? And no, the schools that I've seen these kids get into in the last 2 years are amazing. It's really awesome. And I feel like you almost have more flexibility. You're able to show more. You're able to do more. So you're able to sit like, look what I did. You know, you guys are here, even if you're full-time, you're 4 days a week. So you have 3-day weekends already. Some kids are only here 3 days a week. They might have even longer. So you have more of a chance to do stuff outside of here with your family, either whether it's traveling, more extracurriculars. Extracurriculars look awesome when you're moving on. More time to do all that stuff that really counts. So we haven't had any issues. We've had kids who've gone to, all over.
I think it's listed in the back of your book.
It is listed in the book. Lots of scholarships. So yeah, no problems with that. Any questions there before I move on? Do you have one? It's okay.
So when you go and you show the transcript, is that enough? Or are they going to ask for a portfolio and all those things? What is the typical for each college?
Well, I'll touch on it a little bit, and he's going to touch on admissions a lot more. But basically now, you pretty much apply to almost every school through the Common App. You almost apply to all schools at once. So you're applying the same way that anyone from a traditional school is applying. You're plugging in the same stuff. So you're putting your transcript in, you're going through, you're filling out the same, this is the extracurriculars I did, this is the volunteer work I did, you're sending in the same test scores. You're filling out all the same stuff. So no. There are some extra things they want sometimes. A lot of times they might ask for course descriptions. They might just want to know a little bit more. That's not hard for us to put together here at all. They might ask for a portfolio, and that's just a chance to just even show yourself off more. That's the advantage of that. Because most kids can't, if you send in something extra, they're not going to probably want to look at it, but you might get the chance to send out a little bit more in a portfolio.
But that's usually by per college request.
Yes, more per request, in my experience. Yeah. Let's see, one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick before we move on to the college stuff, and I know I get a lot of questions about this too throughout the year, is the post-secondary, like the dual enrollment stuff that you can do while you're in school here before you graduate. And last year, I don't know a ton about it, and actually we might try to have someone come in and talk about it specifically who reached out to us about the College Credit Plus. This is what Ohio has now. I forget what was it called. Do you remember what it was called before?
CSC,
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I would love to have her come in and talk because I don't know as much about this and she knows a ton about it. But basically, you are able to take classes and while you're here, take classes here and take classes for college credit. So one of the things to keep in mind is that while you could be getting college credit, you're getting college credit. So it's going on your college transcript. It's going there instead. So you need to be serious about it because they are college level classes. And there's lots of information. I can send you, if you're more interested, I didn't make copies of this. I can send you the newest copy of this or the newest link to it. It's got all the information. It even has a section for homeschoolers letting you know exactly how to do it and how to go about doing it. It's a little bit different because in the public schools, I think you can get most of it covered. And I believe you still can, as a homeschooler, you have to go through some different channels. Do you know something about that, Elizabeth?
Public schools are automatically funded because the money that is at their school follows them to the college. Homeschoolers and private school students have separate pots of money. Last year, the state of Ohio put aside $500,000 for homeschoolers, and that was for the whole state. And so they were able to fund seniors. I don't know, Karen, maybe you know if any juniors were funded. I didn't hear a song, but
Prior to last year, when it was PSCOP, I heard that they funded the seniors got one class, then the juniors would get one class, and they'd go down the line, and then if there was money left over, the seniors would get another class. And last year, they changed it, at least for the homeschoolers. I don't know about public school, and they gave seniors whatever they asked for. I looked recently on the site, I'm going to diverge for a minute, and I did not see the 2016-2017 application form. In the past, you had to submit a letter that just said you're interested, you're not committing to anything by April 1st. And they had last year's letter on there. And then by the end of June, you have to submit your official documentation requesting how many hours you want. And if you get money for that set aside, nobody else gets that money, which you're not told. Two other facts are UC Blue Ash and UC Central Campus have different application process. You must have an SAT and an ACT score, not a PSAT score for the main campus to apply to. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about test taking, because that information is not correct on websites.
Okay.
Thank you.
But not at Blue Ash, you do not have to have ACT or SAT?
No, they accept that
PSAT.
PSAT is fine.
and even without PSAT, you can just go take their tests.
Okay.
Yeah, you do have to, as a homeschooler, you're required to take their math and their English tests before you're accepted. It's not an automatic if you're homeschooling.
But it would be great to have somebody come in, because like Karen said, it's a
If you
involved
guys-
process.
Yeah.
And April 1st is the first deadline for people.
She just contacted me,
Yeah.
so if there's enough interest, which it seems like there is, then I'll set something up and I'll have her come in like for an after school one day and have her come and talk. Yeah. Yes?
I'm a little confused. So first I thought you were talking about taking extra courses your junior and senior year to get college credit for it. But now are you talking about being able to get into Blue Ash, that you have to take your own math course? Is that separate or is that just to take the
It's
college
separate, but it's the
courses?
same. But I think, because I do believe that with Blue Ash, you still, if you apply there after high school, you don't need the SAT or ACT scores, but a lot of times you have to take placement tests there because they need to know where to put you. So I just think it's similar, even going in to take classes, whether you're still in high school or after. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah, so it sounds like there's enough interest, so I'll go ahead and set that up, and that way she can come and talk, because she's gonna know everything about it, because I do not. So we'll get that done. I think that's it for me. I was trying to think of anything else to add to those points. I mean, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. I think when applying here, like recommendation letters, which he might touch on a little bit, but just making sure going into your senior year, I've experienced a lot of this year, that you make sure you contact people at the very beginning of the year. Things like that to just keep in mind to make sure you stay on top of things. Last minute is not good, is not fun for anyone. So that's been the biggest thing I think I've noticed this year. I think that's it for me. If you want to take it.
I can introduce Gary a little bit. So Gary Saberin his son came to Leaves of Learning, has graduated from Leaves of Learning, is now in law school and doing very well. But Gary has worked at St. X High School for the past years. He can give a little more background on himself, but he used to always do all of our college presentations when I first started here, and then we got our own counselor to work with us. And then he contacted us recently and said, I'm retiring and would love to come help out a little bit still, so we're thrilled to have him back. And he's a great resource. He's gonna give us the college stuff.
Right.
Gary.
Yeah, well, thanks. Good to be, I know these. My son loved it here. I've been at St. X for 16 years, and before that I was the college counselor at Summit Country Day for 13 years before that. And my son went through Summit, but, like, I guess it was around the 5th grade. He just got tired of desks being in a row, and taking attendance and all that sort of stuff. And so we looked around, and somebody told us about Leavely Fountain. So he came here, and it was like a duck in water for like 6th, 7th, 8th, and all the way through high school. He was here pretty much every day. And then he went on to UC. My wife is retired already, and she was a professor at UC, so we got tuition remission, which is a sweet deal. And so, and he started off in psychology, and then he took a couple of classes over in criminal justice and really fell in love with it. So he got his degree in criminal justice, and now he's at the Chase Law School at NKU, and he just finished his first semester. And he's very proud because he's ranked 5 out of 130 at the law school, so he thinks he's something special. But he really looks back fondly on Leaves and really felt like that was a really, really, really important thing for him, place to be in his growth. Perfect for him. So we did the whole thing with the transcript that you talked about, created the transcript, applied to college, da-da-da. Went through the whole thing. It was simpler, I guess, in a way for us because we knew we were going to UC, and that was that. But, what can I say? I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, more or less, the whole college advising thing for high school kids. And I am retiring at the end of May, and I'm going to keep doing this for families. I'm putting out a shingle and going to be available either hourly, or people get me for retainer and just get you through the whole thing. But my experience has been, with first of all, says the thing, standardized testing. The ACT and the SAT, you've all heard of those horrible tests, I think the idea is to take those. I don't know what they recommend here, but we pretty much tell our guys at St. X, take one of each in the spring of junior year. You don't have to do that, but it's kind of nice if you do. So March or April or June coming up, if you're a junior in high school, take one of each of those. Because if nothing else, you get more relaxed with the test, see what it's like. How do you sign up? You go online. For the ACT, you go to actstudent.org. For the SAT, you go to collegeboard.com. And it pretty much shows you how to do it. There's places all over Cincinnati where you can take these tests, and they're all on the same day all over the entire world. And you go, they last about 3 hours, so it's a morning on a Saturday, and then they'll send you your results and you see what you get. But then if you take like one of each in the spring of junior year, then you can take it some more if you want in fall of your senior year. So why would you take more? Why would you take more than one of each? If you pretty much made up your mind you're going to go to UC or Blue Ash or whatever, you don't need to take more. But if you're fishing for cash, usually that's the motive. I'm fishing for scholarship money, and sometimes that's tied to not just your grade point average, but your standardized test score. So people will take additional SATs and ACTs in order to get their score up so they can qualify for a higher band of financial aid, or scholarship money is what it boils down to. So, you pretty much sit down and take it. Now, there's all kinds of college prep stuff going on. You've probably heard about all over town. There's a lot of free stuff on the internet that's really good. There's free stuff even on the College Board website and on the ACT website. You could take whole tests. You could take an entire SAT on the College Board website right now if you want to. Just sit down, hit your watch, ding, and just time it yourself, see what your score is. Anybody can do that.
We offer class here.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm scared to
We have a
take it.
prep
I don't
class, too.
remember what I got.
We
but I
have
don't-
an ACT prep class.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
geez, you guys are way beyond. Okay, so that's standardized testing, and it's one of those things that's kind of a hoop. And I suppose in a way maybe a little bit more important for homeschoolers because, you know, it's a way to see how you are related to other kids around the country. Questions about standardized testing? PSAT, SAT, ACT, subject tests.
Go for it.
Yes, go.
I've heard that the SAT test is under a change.
It's under a big change.
So I've heard that it's kind of like the juniors are like the little testers
Guineas.
to this whole, right?
Yeah,
So at this point, if you know your child isn't the best at test taking,
yeah.
do you focus on ACT and leave the SAT out of it for the time being, given the change it's under?
Okay, it's going to change in March, so this one coming up in March will be the new one. What happened was, SAT was the big boy in the room. ACT was just kind of like Midwestern, kind of corn-fed kind of test, you know. Oh, shucks, we'll take the ACT here. You know. But now it's flipped. The ACT's taken over the top spot, and SAT is like scared and panicking, and that's why they're changing the test. They won't tell you that.
Right.
That is the reason why. It seems like our guys at St. X and everybody I've talked to everywhere, they're just getting better scores on the ACT than on the SAT. So almost all of our guys are going to focus on the ACT. But I tell them, take one SAT just for me. Do it for me. Because every year I'll have, see, I have 80 in my group that I take care of, 80 seniors and 80 juniors. So by 80 seniors, I'll have 4 or 5 that will walk in and say, Mr. Samer, I don't know why, but I did better on my SAT than ACT. And I don't know if it's the neurons are wired to the electrons or right brain or left brain or what it is. But every once in a while, a student does better on the SAT, on their corresponding score than on the ACT. So what I tell my guys is, take one for me. Take one for the team.
Even with the change? you would still
Even
go
with the
ahead.
change, I would wait till March to
Okay.
do it. And just to see, make sure you're not one of those, or, you know, aliens that does better on the SAT than on the ACT.
Now, is the PSAT an indicator if I know that's not gone well in the past?
Say that again?
If PSAT hasn't gone well in the past, am I pretty much going to get a
Did
similar
they take this
result?
most recent PSAT?
Yes.
And didn't do well?
Mhm.
That's
Oh, I
probably-
honestly don't know. if she
Okay,
did,
well,
but
find
let's
out,
say
because
she
you
did.
see-
I know, I have to look it up.
See, the PSAT they just gave in October is the new test.
It is the new.
Yeah.
That's what I needed to know.
So that means if, depending on how they did on this, if they did crummy on this one, like I've always done on the past, then that probably means SAT's not going to be.
Okay, great.
But you never know. You know, sometimes it's the, I don't know if it's fluoride or oh, I don't know. I tell them take one just to make sure you're not one of those people. Standardized testing. If you apply to a super selective college like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, Dartmouth, Cornell, those places, you're also going to have to do something called subject tests, which are like individual tests in individual areas. So like history, physics, and they'll ask for probably 2. They'll ask you to take 2 of those of your choice. But if you're not applying to those places, and who does? You know, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, any other questions about standardized tests? SAT, ACT, anything? What are they? Who are they?
I'll just throw in real quick that ACT and SAT you guys can register for on your own. For the PSAT, you'll want to go through your school district.
Right.
So you'll need to go through them to register for that.
Is it okay not to have taken the PSAT your sophomore year?
Absolutely. It's okay if you never take the PSAT. The PSAT is one of those things that was created a long time ago to give students a chance to get a practice for the SAT. Well, then they went ahead and glommed on this thing called national merit to it. And national merit is like this scholarship that you could get depending on your PSAT score, so they ruined it. It's not a practice anymore, it's like a serious path. You know, but it's hard to get national merit. I mean, we have 400 seniors, you know, we might have 20, 25 seniors who are gonna get national merit. You gotta finish in the top 1% in your state to get national merit status. But if you get it, the minimum is $2,000 and the maximum is full tuition, room and board, depending on where you go to college. So you can go to UC for free tuition for your national merit.
And we've had a few national merits come out, at
Right.
least learning, just so you know.
Right, and you can go, there's colleges around the country, Arizona State, Oklahoma, Alabama, Auburn, that will just give you free tuition, room and board if you're a national merit. And what they're doing is, these schools in the South and the West, they're trying to boost up their academic, and more like the East Coast and the West. And so what they're doing is they're buying students, they're buying national merit scholars, so they're giving them free tuition, room and board. So, of course, the Jeopardy question is, what college in the United States has the most national merit finalists? And everybody goes, it's Oklahoma. University of Oklahoma. Yeah, it's University of Oklahoma because they're buying them. They're buying them. Please come. We'll free tuition. We'll give you free pizza. We'll give you, you know, you can root for the Sooners and what, I don't know what else well they do, but it's working for them. Their status as a university is rising. Okay. Well, so to answer your question, PSAT is not required. You're not missing anything. The only thing you're missing out of if you don't take it junior year is the potential, that chance that you might be a national merit. Sophomore year is just practice. But you can take the PSAT on your own, right on their website. You don't have to take the official one. You know, if you want to practice, just sit down and go to College Board and take an SAT. Time yourself, see what you get.
So the PSAT sophomore year is not valid for
Nothing.
college entrance?
Nothing. It's valid for nothing. In some places they're giving it freshman year. You go out east, some people are giving it in 8th grade, 7th grade. Some people are giving it in utero. You know, I mean, it's silly. It's silly that because they are trying to get ahead of the game. But basically, the only PSAT with meaning in the sense of potential benefit to you is the junior year.
And that's automatic for the national merit? If you just
Depending on
based
your
off
score, yeah.
And just speaking on behalf of sophomores who take it, we thought it was helpful because since you have to go to your public school to take it,
Yeah.
that's such a different environment.
Right.
So to do it in 10th grade for some, it just depends on the student. But sometimes it's nice to feel out that environment.
And that's a
not
great
have it-
point.
not
That's a
have it
great point.
beforehand.
So it's not as creepy
Right.
to go into high school and be around.
And it doesn't
those
count
people.
anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just another comment, if you're satisfied with the PSAT scores, you can use them at the end of the year. We sent them into our superintendent and they gave us our letter without anything else.
I mean, for
For homeschooling, every year you have to send in some,
Oh, got it.
either a letter
Got it,
that
got it.
says you're meeting standards or a nationalized test. The PSAT counted in for our district.
tests can be like confusing. Other questions?
You're okay.
Yeah.
So the current freshman one that they're going to offer this spring, is that under the new?
Is it spring?
March.
Is it fall? Oh, the argument.
For which?
No, there's
PSAT
the
or
freshman. Okay, I'm talking about a different school.
Go.
But there is, MND is offering a freshman PSAT in March, so that will be under the new test.
It's already started the new test, yeah,
Okay,
for
so
those
it's
guys.
new.
Yeah. And if you want to find out the difference between the old and new, just go to collegeboard.com. They're real upfront about telling you exactly what they've changed. Basically, they've ACT'd themselves.
And then they went back to 1600 score.
Yeah,
Because that's what I had.
those silly people. Yeah.
I have a question. If you wanted to go to Yale or Harvard or one of the big schools,
Yeah.
and you take this new SAT, are they still going to be willing to have you come even though you haven't taken the old one, which is
Oh,
what
yeah.
you needed?
Yeah. And colleges are working this out. This is a big question mark that's rolling. Like, what if a student has an old one, and what if has a new one? How are you going to figure out? They're going to do they're gonna get their IT people and their math people to figure out some algorithm that says an old 1620 is a new 1580, whatever. So they'll work that all out. You don't have to worry.
Thank you.
Okay, choosing a college visit. Well, I think the number one determiner of where people go to, where a student goes to college is the visit. I really do. I know money's huge. Money is sort of like the ultimate pragmatic determiner for a lot of most people. But the visit is really, really, really crucial. I mean, when a family comes in and tells me, you know, we're going to wait and see where we get in, and then we're going to go visit. It's like, oh my God. It's like the worst, because what if I hate them all? You know, and it's like you've got to, my experience has been boots on the ground. You got to go to the campus. There's no pressure. They're not asking you to answer any questions. Just walk around, look at the squirrels, the birds, and the trees. Go to the cafeteria and eat, look at their bulletin board, get the student newspaper, because there's always stuff in there that college is embarrassed about. And you can find out what's really going on. And I would definitely, my feeling, and plus you look at the other kids too. You look and see, are these my people? You know, do I feel like I could survive with? See, people will visit Miami, and they'll visit Ohio State, and they'll realize they're two different places. Two totally different, not totally, but there's kind of a certain joie de vivre at Miami, and there's a certain joie de vivre at Ohio State. So you got to go up there and spend some time, half day, and just get the feeling. I know that sounds kind of hippie, but I think that's what it is. I think you just really, some people go up to Miami and say, I'm never going here. Some people go to Ohio State, I'm never going here. But you don't find that out through websites, what your buddies say, or what your next door neighbor says. You got to, the student has to. Choosing a college. Well, I can tell you what we're going through at St. X. It's money. Money. I was just thinking the other day, maybe some of you have already done the research. What's the cheapest way to go to college? Guys ask me all the time, where would you go to college today? I said, well, I had no money, my mom had no money, my dad was dead. And so I would have figured out the cheapest thing. And so the cheapest thing I think here is to go like the Blue Ash and live at home. Gotta live at home. I would have had to live. Got a Blue Ash for 2 years, get your associates, and then go to NKU.
And then you have transfer over.
Yeah, and I think NKU as a transfer is a little cheaper than, depending on your major, than going to Clifton. So I would have done it rock bottom. But everybody's got different criteria. They want a certain campus life, or maybe they want to be in the UC band, or maybe they want to go to a Catholic school, or maybe they want to go to a private liberal arts school, or maybe they have money. They can, grandma's giving them money, whatever. But 53% of our senior class this year at St. X is going to go to either UC, Ohio State, or Miami. A lot of people don't think that. They think, well, they're going to Wake Forest, and Duke, and Harvard, whatever. They're not. And there's a reason why. It's the cost. And what they're doing is, even families that could say, quote, afford it to go to those places, what they're saying is, okay, look, my son wants to study engineering. He could go to UC, okay, an outstanding engineering program. He could go to Ohio State, outstanding engineering program. He could go to UC and have an unbelievable co-op experience, whereas that's where you go to school for a semester and then you work like a GE for a semester, get paid, go back to school, go back to GE, get paid, go back to school, go back to GE, and then get hired by GE at the end. Or he could go on to Yale and graduate with $200,000 debt. So this has become the motivator. When I was applying to college in 1969, UD and Miami were the same price. Okay, I think it was $1,000 tuition a year, same price. That is off. That's way off. Okay, so the driver, what I'm seeing these days, the driver is value for the dollar. Now, you may say to yourself, I want to go to Yale. We got guys that go to Yale. I want to go to Yale because of ultimately the connections, the networking, or whatever I'm going to get for having gone there. Grandma gave us some money, and Dad did this, and whatever. We got this 408, whatever they are, I don't know. And we can pull it off and graduate with minimal debt. Well, that's a value choice. It's a value choice. The real estate bubble in 2008, the next bubble that's coming is debt, college debt. It's unbelievable. And our guys have caught on, and our families have caught on. And last year, college debt passed credit card debt in America. Well, there's a lot of credit card debt in America. There's more college debt. So some kids are graduating with $150,000 debt. And that's their home. That's their first home. And again, they might say, well, it depends on a career. If I go into a career where I might be making a lot of money, but then our guys ask themselves, well, what career is making that kind of money? Is it medicine? Is it law? It's not law. And my son knows that. He's not going into it for the money. So it's a value judgment, cost relative to the benefit of going to a certain school. And we're lucky in the state of Ohio that we have a great state system. We have a very good state system. If we lived somewhere else, it'd be a different story. Now, they're not paying me to push this. We got a lot of kids that will go to Denison, Kenyon, the private schools. We got a lot of kids that will go to Xavier, the UD, Dayton, because they've just been into the whole Catholic gig their whole life, and they want to keep it going. They're having fun. They're enjoying it. They like the thing. So they're willing to pay some extra thousands of dollars a year or an extra debt to do that. But that's a personal family call. If it's that, go, let's do it. I've never been in a public school my whole life, but I happened to go through in an era when it was really cheap to go through Catholic school. We had 1 million nuns who worked for free. So there was no faculty expenses, but that's gone. So I couldn't afford the education that I had. I couldn't afford that. There'd be no way. So those are the things to look for. Obviously your major, that's an obvious thing. But fit, distance, but the big elephant in the room these days is cost. Pardon me?
Berea College.
Berea is a fantastic place, but do you have to show some Appalachian descent?
But
Who doesn't? Yeah. Berea College is a college south of Lexington where you go for free, right? And it's a neat school, but you have to somehow trace your lineage into some sort of Appalachian. Your lineage has got to go into the woods. And if you do though, it's a fantastic place. Let me just say this: when the Dalai Lama came to Ohio, he went to one place. It was to Berea College.
What do you think is a good number of colleges to visit and then knowing that?
Yeah. I get asked that question all the time. We were talking about this ahead of time. We've got about a senior this year is applying to 22 colleges. I've got tons of seniors who are only applying to one because they know they're going to get in and they know that's where they want to go. The average for my guys is like 5 or 6. That's kind of the average. But it kind of depends on your situation. If you're fishing for dollars, what was that show? Bowling for dollars? Fishing for dollars, sometimes people will apply to more. They'll put more hooks in the water to see who's going to come through. So let's say I really want to go to a small liberal arts college. I want to go to a Denison or a Wittenberg or a Hanover or a Center or a Kenyon. I just love those places, but I don't know if we can afford them. Sometimes people will apply, and sometimes they'll waive the application fee these days, but if they don't, it's going to cost $40, $50, $60 for the application fee. They look at that as like an investment. Put all those hooks in the water, see who says yes, and then see how much money they give you. And then we're back to the value judgment thing. So I could go to Kenyon, which is a very wonderful school, especially for writer. I could go to Kenyon, about the same amount of money out of mom and dad's pocket. That's nice. they're gonna give me X amount of dollars, that's nice, but I gotta graduate maybe with $10,000 a year debt. So I'm gonna graduate with $40,000 debt. So the question becomes, is it worth it to graduate with 40,000? I'm just pulling that out of the air, but you get the idea. Some families say, no debt, that's not gonna happen. Well then, that's what you're waiting to see on the other end of the pipe. Or whether they're gonna work out a situation where I can have no debt. That's rare.
How many do you think on average they go and actually visit?
All of them. Yeah, I think, what I tell my kids is, you need to have all of them visited by the beginning of senior year. So, and go from spring break, go when you have a free day, go on a Saturday, go on a Sunday. They're marketing this stuff, man. They got tour guys waiting for you. You know, and then go, if, it's better to go in the summer than not at all. But it's kind of gonna look empty, right? So you gotta put a template of people in front of your thing, you know. So, but it's still better to go than not go at all. I say, if a family comes to me in September, if a student comes to me and says, and they haven't visited anywhere, they're gonna say, where should I apply to college? If they have visited, they'll come to me and say, here's where I'm applying to college. That's the difference. So I think the visit is vital, and I go to all of them.
Did you say before senior year or by the end of senior year?
I'd say by the beginning of senior year. So get it done in the second half of senior year and in the summer before school starts. They can go back for another visit. Nobody can force you to commit to their school until May 1st. That's the international, of your senior year. Nobody can force you to commit till May 1 of your senior year. So after you've applied, found out if you got in, how much money you can go back. You can keep going back for visits. Keep going. But before you apply is what I'm talking about. Before you apply, which is going to be in the fall of your senior year, I encourage guys to visit, so that when they come back to school in the fall, they got in their head where they want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, is it better to apply earlier than later because of scholarship money? Do they run out of scholarship money if we wait till May?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you tell your guys, but with the whole scholarship money thing, so like Ohio State, you've got to apply by November 1 of your senior year to even be considered. So you're not going to get a nickel, or they won't guarantee you anything if you wait till after November 1st. So we tell all our guys, have everything in the can and submitted by November 1 of your senior year. And that's not hard to do. I mean, you're going to have to work a little bit over the summer, but you can do that. If you do that, you're going to be in line for any money that they might give out. So, November 1.
So that means if you have to apply by November of your senior year, you have to have volunteer work done in your junior year?
What you do, okay, here's the deal. So you're taking your SAT and ACT in the spring of junior year, right? So those are done. I don't know what you tell your
Go ahead.
But we encourage our
We're on the
guys.
same page so far. So far, we're all on the same page.
Okay,
so
what we
that's
encourage our
fantastic.
guys to do is get your essay done over the summer between junior and senior year. Don't drag that into senior year. I mean, I would have dragged it into senior year because I procrastinated. But don't do it. Don't do what it's like get it done, and you can go to the commonapp.org and find out what the prompts are. They give you 4 possible essay ideas, and just do it. And have mom look at it, and have dad look at it, and have Uncle Bob look at it, because he used to write for a newspaper. It's always something like that. But get that done, and also put together a sheet of paper with everything you've been involved in over the last 4 years. If you get those 2 things done, plus your visiting, plus your SAT and ACT, before the first class of senior year, then just doing the application somewhere between September 1 and November 1, it's going to take you an hour. We could find an hour in there, can't we? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you just fill in the blanks. Now, college application is basically name, address, social security number, phone number.
6 other things.
Six other things, but 6 other things that take you 2 minutes to do. The only time consumers are your essay and your activities. But if you got those done, so I'm just saying, get those done.
What's the recommended number of hours of volunteering?
There isn't any. There isn't any. Some guys at St. X don't volunteer at all because they're swimmers and they have a job. It depends on your situation. Most guys do volunteer, and I think the reason why volunteering looks good is because you're telling a college your world is bigger than just you. You know what I mean? Most of us when we're young, we're playing like World of Warcraft, and you know, we're not. But if you can show that you're at least you realize there's other people on this planet besides yourself, and that they need some help, that looks good. And you're probably going to do that in the dorm then. You're probably not going to be an isolator in the dorm.
I think that's super important, and I think that's an advantage that you have at Leeds, is you do have that extra day too. So if you can find time to volunteer for extracurriculars, it's just great. Not only does it look great, it's just great for you and your development. I know a lot of kids here have so many classes for their transcript that they've used some of their classes as extracurriculars as well. And classes like Peace Jam, they're so unique that you can write, a whole paragraph on. Things like that are good to keep in mind that you can use for those sections too.
I think one of the coolest things to do is be a big brother or big sister. Now, most high school students I talk to think, I'm not qualified to be a big brother. I need a big brother or big sister. But the truth is, you'd be shocked how good a job you'll do as a big brother or big sister. This is a kid who's having a hard time and just wants somebody to go bowling with. That's it. Or go to the movie with. Go see Star Wars with. That's it. That's it. And that is a great experience. I mean, guys will come back and say, well, that changed me.
I have friends that are still doing that at this age, and they've been doing it since high school. They love it.
Okay, any other questions? Scholarships. All right. I don't think there's anything that's been said more about with so little yield as scholarships. I think 99, and people who have kids in college speak up, 99% of any money you're going to get. So there's two things. There's scholarships and there's financial aid. Scholarships is when a college gives you money because you're doing something really well. You're a good student, you can play basketball, you can play the trombone, whatever. That's a scholarship, okay? Financial aid is they're giving you money because your family, based on their income and assets, qualifies for some help financially from the university. Okay, and the financial aid can take the form of money they give you, that's nice. Money they loan you, not nice. And money and work study. So that's financial aid, okay? Two things. So the scholarships, everybody says, well, I gotta get a lot of scholarships. Almost all the money you're gonna get, merit money, scholarship money, is gonna come through the university you wind up attending. You're not gonna have to fill out any special application. You're just gonna apply to the college. And they're gonna say, okay, we got your application, you're a really cool student, and you got this score on your SAT and ACT, we're gonna give you $7,000 a year that you don't have to pay back because you're just great. That's 99% of it. I mean, the money, you don't have to do anything. It just comes to you, okay? Floating scholarships. Scholarships from the Daughters of the American Revolution or Friends of, I don't know what. But you can spend a lot of time looking for those, and I can give you a website where you can look for those. But sometimes there's a not risk reward, what do they call that? Where you do a lot of work and don't get a lot back? Okay, work, reward, I don't know what it is. But anyways, you can spend a lot of time and write essays, and you wind up getting $100 or $50. And it's like, wow, what was I doing? But you can still search, and occasionally guys do find things. And the #1 website is called FastWeb, FASTWEB, fastweb.org.
That's listed in the book.
Okay, it's in the book, great. So if you go there, that's the largest single pile of floating scholarships, and you plug in your information, what your homeschool, what your SAT is, what your ACT is, what you're looking for as a major, and then it pops up, here's some scholarships you can go for. But buyer beware. I mean, you could spend a lot of time looking. I've seen kids really get more money from where their mom and dad works. So sometimes you work at General Electric or for Proctor or something like that. They'll have internal scholarships. There's more that comes from that than from floaters.
What was the website again?
FastWeb.
Oh, it's in the book.
Yeah. The other piece, financial aid. I wouldn't presume that you're in or out as far as getting money. I would just do the FAFSA. And the FAFSA is this federal government document, which is scary, but it's this government document where you fill it out, and basically it's based on your tax returns, and then you mail it to Washington, and they crunch it, and they come up with this thing called an EFC, Estimated Family Contribution. That's what the federal government thinks you ought to be able to pay for college every year. It's usually this horribly big number, it's awful. And then they mail that to the colleges you tell them that you're applying to, okay? And then the college is free to do with that whatever they want. If a college says we're 100%, we guarantee 100% financial aid, that means whatever that EFC is, they will take care of the rest of it if it doesn't equal the total cost of attendance, either via gift money or loans. Now there's some colleges that will say, we'll guarantee 100% of it with gift money. That's like free money. But you have to qualify for it. There's not many of those. Usually those are, you can tell if their endowment is enormous, like billions, that's the ones that can do that. So like right now, the Ivy League, they could take an entire freshman class who has 100% need, couldn't pay a nickel, they can afford to do that. But they're rare, that's very rare. There's just some blue blood, there's some colleges out there that can do that, but they're real rare.
So that gap, is that only tuition that's calculated into that?
It's
or is
room and
that
board and
room
everything. They figure in
So
everything.
total cost.
Yeah, total cost. Sometimes there's like this, there is that gap. Okay, we're covering this much, we think you can pay this much. Well, what about that 4,000 in the middle? Well, good luck. You know, call your aunt, call your brother, and you can go to a private lender. I mean, there's other ways you can do that. So I really encourage, now the FAFSA, you used to fill that out like now, at the end of January and early February, and it was based on, this year would have been based on your 2015 tax returns. Beginning this fall, you now will do it in October, which is great. And so this October would be based on your 2015 tax returns. So, because people are always scrambling to get their tax returns done, and they couldn't get them done in time. Well, you could submit it, but that's where the money starts to run out. So, but now they've changed it so it's a whole year behind. So this fall, if you have a senior this fall, and you're doing the FAFSA for the senior for this fall, in October, it'll be based on your 2015 tax returns, which have to be done by April 15th, right? So you'll have them all ready to go. I would encourage everybody to do a FAFSA. And if you want to know what your EFC would look like, you want to do it now, there's a website you can go to. It's called the FAFSA Forecaster, with the number 4 instead of F-O-R-E. Very clever. Federal government. And it's the federal government document, website, FAFSA Forecaster. You can go ahead and plug in your, if you want, your 2014 tax stuff, or if you've got 15 done, and see what your EFC looks like, your estimated family contribution, which is what the colleges are going to see. And then you go to college, and then you graduate, and you get a minivan and a dog, get married, and live happily ever after. Questions about college in general? Anything? Yeah?
When's the next, I know there was one at the, was it the Bank Arena where they had all the colleges come in? When is the next one?
Oh, the National College Fair. Okay, Cincinnati's lucky. I think there's like 7 cities in the United States that have National College Fairs, and we're one of them. And they're down at, no, the big one. What's the big one? Duke. And hundreds and hundreds of colleges, but that's in the fall. So I don't think there'll be another one until the fall. But I'd rather go to the college than go to the fair. That's me. I mean, the fair, they're going to have a little thing up, and they're going to tell you how wonderful they are. And that's nice, but I'd rather go look. And we have we're in a hotbed of higher learning. We got so many stuff within 2 hours. We have hundreds of great colleges and universities within 2 hours. And you can see everything from the smallest to the biggest. And that's what I would do. You're going to get a lot more out of that.
Is there a good place to go to get a sense for, like, if you know what fields you want to go into, like which colleges, where they rank and
Yeah,
stuff?
that's a good question. There's two things you can do. If you simply go on the internet, go on Google and type in best colleges for computer science. Okay, you're gonna get all these things will pop up. One of them will be US News. The problem there is they're gonna give you the best. So they're gonna give you Caltech, Harvard, Berkeley, places that I'm probably not gonna go.
Reasonable best.
Yeah, right, yeah. How can we find the middle best? All right. The other thing you can do is, there's a website called Big Future, which is kind of a goofy name. Big Future, and it's run by the College Board, so it's all solid information. Just sort of go to a search engine and type in Big Future. When you go in there, there's this great search engine. Okay? You can search by all kinds of criteria, but one of the ways you can search is by major. So let's say you put in there mechanical engineering. All right? And then let's say you restrict it to Ohio, or Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania. You can do that. You can also restrict it by maximum my SAT scores, my ACT scores. And then when you, at any point in the process, you can hit search, and the colleges that fit will pop up. So if you want to find colleges that generally accept someone with your scores in mechanical engineering in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Kentucky, Indiana, or wherever, that's a way to find it. Yeah.
So, the big school reach
Yeah.
that my daughter keeps saying,
Yeah.
but I need that one
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
What's your take with that, with your boys?
Like, how do you figure out that?
Well, I mean.
You hire somebody like me to help
To
you.
do it, okay, perfect. I mean, in reality, is that realistic for them? I mean, I don't want to squelch her looking, but at the same time, there's 5 practical ones or whatever, do you add the 6th?
There's a lot of reasons to have a reach on there. One of them is for me to feel good about myself. That mom and dad are letting me do this. The second reason is I might get in. Third reason, I might get in and be able to afford it. So it's like you keep the dream alive. And then even if you get in and I can't afford it, you can say I got in.
Right.
Okay, so if you want to get a sense on your own for what a reach would be, again, that Big Future site, you can sort out SAT scores and ACT scores. Really, that's the only thing we have that's national standard. But you can kind of sort that way. And she could kind of find out through that what would be a reach site, or a reach college or two, and go for it. Why not? I mean, prepare yourself.
Right.
I mean, a lot of guys never hear a no. My generation, we never heard no. Everything was yes. You can go, yes, you did. Well, that's going to end. If you apply to a lot of colleges, you're going to get some no's. And so if they're mentally prepared for that, go for it.
Lauren, will you meet with parents of seniors in the fall to talk about our role in the Common App as a school?
Anything that you need help with, just reach out to me and we make an appointment. I can meet with anyone. Some parents really, want the help and some don't, and I'm here to help for sure. Yeah, 100%.
If you go to commonapp.org, they have tutorials. And if you can't find it in Common App, just type it into your search engine, Common App tutorials. They've got these cool little videos that say, page 1, page 2. So like a kind of how to do it.
But if we're the school, to tell us what we as the parents need to put in, because there were some questions the College Board was not answering the homeschool parent.
Yeah.
And Lauren didn't know the answer. I don't know if you ever got an answer to that.
Yeah, it's different, and it's it's a very hazy line here because there's a counselor section, and I've done it for some, and some have just done it on their own and answered those questions. So, and it's different, and it's hard to answer some of them because of the situation we have here. But we've worked through it, and it's been fine so far.
I think with a
so-
homeschooling situation, you can do it either way.
Right.
You could be the counselor.
Exactly.
You could be the counselor.
It's
I mean,
whatever you're more comfortable with.
and they're cool with that.
Yeah.
I think colleges want homeschool kids. They just do. Because I'll be honest with you, I think homeschool kids are probably more prepared for college life than kids from St. Agnes.
Right, it's also the description of the school and how you.
Because we are a weird loophole, yeah. we're
Yeah.
weird.
A
Yeah, if your
lot of
kids-
colleges have in their applications now a check mark in that box for homeschool. So it's much more
And that's
common.
what you check.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, there's leaves on there too. And leaves
But you don't want us to check.
No.
shouldn't be on there.
We're not supposed to be on there, I don't know how we got on there.
What do you want?
We're on like a list of schools that you can check that you attended.
Yeah, they check
We are,
that.
but we don't want them to check that, we want you
Yeah.
to check homeschool, don't check things of learning.
Oh, that's weird.
well,
Yeah.
on,
Oh, sneaky coming at people.
Yeah, so it gets
Yeah.
complicated if you don't
Yeah.
know.
well, when I just went to, like when I was looking and just in general, I was impressed by those that are now just listing that homeschool check mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, homeschool is it's on there.
You go talk, make an appointment with the rep, they'll tell you that some of their best kids that they've got are homeschool kids. Not just academically, but personally, socially, the values they bring to the campus, they want homeschool kids. And they didn't pay me.
We didn't.
I get 0 for this. I get Starbucks for this, that's it.
It was hard.
And I walked in, like, run over.
Well, it is 5:30. So any last minute questions?
I included my email and Gary's email on the agenda that you guys all got. So feel free to email either or both of us with any questions.
Anytime.
Yeah?
I'm retiring.
Thanks for coming.
What the heck? I got nothing else to do. I think I'm gonna drive Uber.